Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hey, it's the Anthony Cumia Show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I certainly do hope you had a great Christmas with your family. I hope. It's like the saddest time to be alone. Oh, my God. Is during the holidays when that sad Christmas music is playing. Why do they have to be so sad? There's quite a few uppy ones, you know, like that. But there's so many of these funeral dirge-sounding Christmas songs that even if you are with family and loved ones and everything's great, you're like, oh, this song. Pa-rum-pa-pum-pum. I've had it. So we were listening to a station that pretty much, yes, a radio station, believe it or not, that just the 26th, it's over. Back to, I think it's alt rock or something. So I don't have to go through, you know, the in-between Christmas and New Year thing, which is really a no man's land. It's that real estate between the trenches during World War I. It's just this weird time. Nothing really gets accomplished. Got to be honest, right? Even if your boss tells you to come in and work, nothing's getting done. You really just, no one expects anything to get done either, which is a great thing. You could just lounge around, come in late, leave early. You know, it's such a strange time, and you don't really know what to do with yourself. You're, for the most part, you wander around the house, and then you just pick on all the leftover crap in your fridge. A lot of cheese and crackers, things like that. Maybe the few leftover beers from people that came over, brands of beers you would never drink. Oh, look, it's a Busch Light. Ooh, an old Milwaukee's Best. You know, you might drink a couple of those just to get them out of the fridge. And then potato salad that you're smelling and going, I'm not quite sure, but I'm hungry, and Mom used to say, when in doubt, throw it out. Remember that, kids. So, yeah, we're in that time, that in-between period, and all the Christmas stuff is over. It's gotten pretty easy these days with shopping online. I mean, doesn't everyone do that? I cannot imagine wanting to go to a mall, anywhere, and then you're kind of sticking it to the person you got the gift for, because if you got something at the mall, you'd be like, I have the receipt if you need to take it back, and now you're giving them the mission to go to this horrible, vile place called a mall in 2025. And I think the return day, you know, the days after Christmas, are so much worse than the shopping days. Everyone's miserable. You got to bring stuff back. It takes a lot more effort on the part of the employees to give you credit or actual money back. Do they even do that anymore? I don't even know if they give back money, actual cash in your hand. And then the scammers, you know, they got to be in constant a constant eye out for the people that are there. Don't have a receipt, no ID. It wasn't even bought there, and they're, you know, causing some problems. So you won't get me in a mall. I'm like Quint in Jaws. I'll never go to a mall again, Chief. No way. So, yeah, online. So it makes it easier. Everything gets delivered. And The only real decision you have to make is do I wrap the Amazon box, or do I open it up and then wrap the things in the Amazon box? Because sometimes Amazon, they'll pack 3 or 4 things in one box. So if you want to make it look like you really did a lot, you really bought a lot of things, you want to open that box up and wrap everything separately. So that wasn't that bad. And then New Year's Eve, I don't know. It's really amateur hour these days. You don't want to go out. I guess Uber is a godsend on New Year's Eve, because in the old days you had to drive, and it was New Year's Eve. You were going to be drinking. And if you aren't good at it, there are people that are better than others, let's say. Of course, you shouldn't do it at all. I would never sit here and advocate driving while intoxicated, ever. But there are people that are better at it than others. You know who they are. But the amateurs, if they have to go out and it's New Year's Eve, they're just out there for the picking, for the cops. But now with Uber, you could just do that. Or if you really want to be a 21st century wonderkind, you got yourself one of those Tesla, not just a regular Tesla with a steering wheel, but one of those Tesla robo-taxis. You buy one of those, they don't even have a steering wheel. They have no pedals. A human being cannot get in these things and drive them. If you own one of those, as the law goes right now, you could be hammered off your ass and get in that thing, and it will drive you home. And if something happens where you get pulled over, I don't know how that works. The cars know when there's a cop behind you and knows to roll the window down and everything. You can't be arrested for a DWI. Now, if you're driving a Tesla with a steering wheel and pedals that you could drive, but you have it on autopilot, you can still get a DWI for being in that situation. But a robo-taxi, it's just like you got in a cab. You were drunk, you got in a cab. The cab's driving me home. So that's going to be a thing, and they'll probably write some laws. Because, someone somewhere's got to be responsible. I don't know. If it got into an accident and it's your vehicle, I would think you're still somehow responsible. It is your vehicle. But laws, it often takes laws a longer time to catch up to the technology. But New Year's Eve, that's if I was a young man and I was doing a lot of going out and partying like I did in the older days, I would definitely pick one of those up. It's got to save you money in the long run, and legal fees and getting your license back and things like that. But, so I don't know. I don't like going out for New Year's Eve. So maybe take an Uber into Greenville, South Carolina. Nice, sit back, enjoy it. But the holidays aren't over yet. No. Until January 1st, happy Kwanzaa, everybody. If you're celebrating Kwanzaa, I have my Kinara lit right here in the studio, and only a few more days left of Kwanzaa. So let's go over some of the 7 principles. Umoja. That's to strive for the maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. Ooh. Kujichagulia. That's self-determination. Or my next-door neighbor's daughter. To define the name and name ourselves, as well as to create us and speak for ourselves. Ujima. Collective work and responsibility to build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and to solve them together. I'll have to check on, see what happened this weekend in Chicago and see if that's going on. Ujama, to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. Nia, that is purpose, to make our collective vocation the building and development of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. Kumba, Anthony Cumia, to do always as much as we can in the way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. And Imani, to believe with all our hearts in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. There you go. The 7 principles of Kwanzaa. If you're celebrating a couple of more days, they kind of rooked that from the Jews, didn't they? The Kinara thing with the candles. It's a good, you couldn't just take the tree. That would be a little blatant. And it's not very spiritual. It's not like you can't say, well, it's a spiritual thing. The menorah, very spiritual. The Kinara, all right. It's candles. You light them every day. We'll let you slide on that one. But, yeah, a little Jewish, that whole thing. If you put it in the window, you would absolutely think you're a little late for Hanukkah. But God bless and happy Kwanzaa. I've known plenty of black people in my life growing up and everything. And I got to tell you, not a one has ever mentioned Kwanzaa unless it was as a joke. Hey, Anthony, happy Kwanzaa. Yeah. I'm on it. But I don't know. It seems very manufactured. And I have noticed a lot of the networks, like TV and commercials, they've totally done away with. And we want to wish you a happy Kwanzaa from Toyota, I think all of it's just coming to a really abrupt stop these days. I don't know. You could figure out why or why not or why it should or shouldn't, but it is. I'm not seeing that as much. All right, plenty to talk about. Your calls, 800-848-9222. And we are going to talk about Nick Shirley and his big expose on the fraud going on in Minnesota in this child care situation. It is something, man. Just billions of dollars. All right, stick around. Plenty more to go.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. And as promised, we got to get into this whole Somali child care fraud. And this involves just everything. Everything in this country. This somehow involves it. And I honestly think this is the tip of the iceberg, as they say, because not saying that the Jews did it. Iceberg. It's not a name. It's a thing. Tip of the iceberg. This affects everything. Our economy, law enforcement, politics, your tax. These are your tax dollars. You think they could be used for something better? Because we don't even know exactly where this money is being shipped off to. We assume Somalia, and there's some pretty nefarious people doing evil things over there. And if we're financing that, that is astounding. Just astounding. So this Nick Shirley kid, I mean, I've seen some of his videos over the past year or so, and he has sat in the White House with Donald Trump during a meeting talking about other things that are going on in this country that drastically need the president's attention. But I'm online all the time. I check out everything that's going on in the world. It's my job. So I don't know if a lot of people knew who Nick Shirley was, but he deserves the Pulitzer Prize for journalism. Probably the only journalist right now that should be entitled to that honor is Nick Shirley. A very young guy. He went out and he went around with another gentleman who had a list of these child daycare centers all over Minneapolis, Minnesota. And Minneapolis is just, it's Somalia. It is, they picked up a bit of Somalia and plopped it right down there in Minneapolis. And it seems like these child care daycare centers had no children in them. That seems to be a red flag right there. No children, no people really working there. Just a building with signs on them. One of them saying Leering Center instead of Learning Center. A misspelt sign on a child's school or daycare center. Not a good thing. Another red flag. And people that have said they've never seen a child go in or out of the building. That's got to speak volumes as to the need for some oversight, the corruption, the fraud going on. So as far as I know from what I've been reading and listening to and videos I've been watching, people knew about this. Oh, we were investigating. We're doing this back in 2019. Oh, we're investigating this. Are you? Because that was like 6 years ago, and it took this young guy to put it right in front of everyone's faces before a bunch of people started saying, maybe we ought to look into this. And if they were investigating, why hadn't the news, the mainstream media, picked up on it? And there's plenty of reasons for that. Where the money is going is just a huge part of this story. Where is that money going? Not all of it's going to Somalia. And if a lot of politicians and residents and politicians as high as Tim Walz in the pyramid, if he knew, all that money isn't just going to Somalia. You got to give a little to Tampon Tim, as they call him. So first, let's listen to a little piece of Nick Shirley's expose on this child care thing that's now at, I believe, just short of 100 million views on X, which is unbelievable. That is results. So let's listen to Nick in this clip.
And now they all get mad.
What was this money spent on? 1.26 million. What was that money spent on? There aren't any kids.
Ask the owner and the kids.
Well, then why are you talking for the owner if you're telling me to talk to the owner?
I'm sorry. I'm not understand what you're talking about.
Do you have a child here?
No.
Does anybody?
No.
Where are the 74 kids? Did you lose them? Did you lose these kids? Do I need to call someone? Do I need to issue an Amber Alert for missing children? Are these children missing? It's not my business that children are missing. 74 infants and toddlers, preschool.
The proof's right there. There's no children anywhere.
It's from the state of Minnesota right here.
I think we're moving on to the next location. Have a good day.
Jeez. I don't know what that was. That just sounded like language you hear right before you put in a big cast iron pot, if you ask me, but I grew up watching Bugs Bunny cartoons. That was something. The guy with the wacky or high voice, he was the guy with Nick Shirley. So he was asking, where are these kids? These child care places, they have a certain number of children that they have to account for. They say, we have 100 kids in this facility. And they get money from the federal government, the state government, non-government organizations. They get money from them per child. And it is racked up into the millions of dollars per building. Billions of dollars statewide. They don't even know how many billions at this point. That's how out of control this whole thing is. And they just yell at Nick and his friend there. They will not let them even look inside. Now, I guess you could say, well, this is a children's school. We're not going to allow people to just come in. We don't know who they are. There's kids in there. They have to be protected. All right, just just what I just said. They have to be protected. Where is the oversight? Shouldn't there be officials to make sure the children are being taken care of, that the environment is safe that they're in? And then if they go in there and don't see any kids, shouldn't they say, where are the kids? And refer that to another agency that could go down and maybe check if any shenanigans are going on. But none of this happened. Nothing happened. Oh, it was being investigated. By who? Who was investigating it? Why didn't the news? This seems like a story that a young go-getter reporter would just be chomping to get at. What? There's corruption going on? I'm going to get in my car and take my little notepad, my fedora with the press pass in the hat band. All right, maybe I'm going back a little far. But, yeah, that would be a dream come true for a journalist. And it took a guy that just had his phone, maybe a little camera, a microphone, and did the work that you would think someone sat in college for years learning the who, what, where, why, when thing, and journalistic integrity and morality, all that stuff you have to learn in journalism. What'd this kid do? He went out with a camera and a microphone and some facts and some papers and did some investigative journalism. Where was the mass media? Where was the legacy media when this investigation supposedly started at least 5-6 years ago? Some are saying a decade ago, 10 years ago, they were talking about this. And I honestly believe that it is so deep into the political circles of Walz and Ilhan Omar, who somehow had her net worth increase by $30 million in a year, her and her husband, who's a venture capitalist guy. It is so shady. This is so shady, and it goes so deep, and it's been allowed to go on for so long. And their protection is if you criticize them, if you say it's fraud, you will be called a racist. And you know what happens when you call that? You lose everything. So keep your mouth shut. Keep your eyes away. It's like the mafia, the Somafia. All right. Your calls and plenty more coming up in seconds. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show, and we will go right to the phones in 1 minute, I promise. I just want to play this clip because this was kind of a side thing that was going on during Nick Shirley's video. It's like a 40-minute long video, well worth the watch, and it seems like a lot of people are watching the whole thing. It's getting retweeted and viewed and commented on by everybody, the highest people in political power and entertainers that aren't crazy libs. All right, this was funny because they're knocking on the door, trying to get somebody to answer the door at one of these child daycare scam places. And an old white liberal woman comes out and she's screaming, "Stay inside. ICE is out here." She thought it was ICE. These two guys were ICE. And they were trying to, deport the Somalis that were in there. And she's running around trying to warn the Somalis not to come out because ICE is here. And it just proves how stupid liberals are, how they don't care what they're mad about as long as they're mad about or at something or someone. And they're completely uneducated and not knowledgeable about the very thing they profess to be so passionate about that they go out and, she's making a difference. In her mind, I'm making a difference. And it had nothing to do with ICE. But, it's a liberal old boomer woman. So, boy, are they a scourge. Let's listen.
This is Quality Learning Center. I meant to say Quality Learning Center.
Don't open up!
They said they spelt learning wrong.
Don't open up!
How do you have ICE here, ma'am? I'm literally a YouTuber.
Don't open up!
Ma'am, what do you think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
Don't open up! We have ICE!
And what do you think about this place being licensed for 99 children
Don't open up.
and getting $4 million over
Don't
the
open up. It's ice.
$4 million in the last 2 years?
Go away.
What do you think about that? Are you in
Go
favor?
away.
Are you in favor of that?
Go away.
You know what
You're
it-
not welcome here.
Are you-
Shame on you.
Are you in favor of $1.9
Shame
million
on you. It's
going
ice.
illegally,
Don't open up.
fraudulently to this business that has quality learning center but can't even spell learning right on the door?
Don't open up.
Oh, God.
Ma'am, we are not ICE.
I don't care who you are. You don't belong here.
I belong
Why?
here just like you belong here.
Don't open up. It's ice.
You do realize
she
that
goes on
there's
and
supposed
on.
to be
You
99
could
children
cut
right
it
here.
there because it's giving me a headache. But that's, that is typical lefty, typical boomer left-wing woman. She doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. She has no clue. She thinks she's doing something. She'll tell all her friends in the community, in her retirement community, get on a golf cart and drive over to Madge's house. I kept them safe from ICE. Like, no, you dunce. You dummy. It's fraud. They're defrauding you. Anything, whatever is taxed, whatever, your Social Security, I don't know. But they're stealing from you, lady. And this kid's trying to do something about it, and you don't even know who he is. It's astounding. Let's talk to Kevin in Long Beach. What's up, Kevin?
Hey, Anthony. I hope you had a joyous Christmas day.
Very joyous. Thank you, Kevin. Same.
And, I think, I'm beginning to think the prerequisite for all these liberal female lunatics is to have the highest, shrillest voice I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's why husbands die first.
Yeah.
Listening
But
to
they're all
that.
divorced. They're all divorced and miserable. That's right.
Yeah.
This guy, Nick Shirley's doing a great job. There's another woman named Liz Collin with Alpha News.
Yeah, I've
Based
seen her
out
too.
of Minnesota, and she's been all over this as well. They should join forces because that's the only way this is going to change is with independent news media, guys online and everything.
Kevin, you bring up a great point, and that's exactly what needs to happen. More people have to see how this works, how you can put something out there, and the world will see it, and world leaders will comment on it. And this was unheard of up until very, very recently. I mean, the idea that Elon bought Twitter and turned it into what it is now that allows journalists like this, civilian journalists like this, is a game changer. I mean, without Elon buying that and handing it over to people that want to investigate things like this, comment on things that the government or power base doesn't want you to comment on, it's great. It's been a game changer.
Yeah, and Liz Collin had, Fried, Ellison, Omar, and Walls are all complicit in one way or another. And she's been on this for years, but keeps getting shut down, Yeah. And it's just, have you these autistic schools that they gave millions to?
Oh, yeah, that's another scam.
There was no clinical checkups on these kids. All it was check these boxes on this form that they made up. And they sent to Washington, and they sent them millions.
And they told the parents what to do, and then they handed them a few bucks when they went off with their kids. And now they have X amount of autistic kids that need money and care, and they're not doing anything for it. And again, another empty building.
But their autism is questionable, because they were never diagnosed properly. It was just, it's just a whole scam from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Listen, Compound was great this week.
Oh, thank you, my friend.
And
Yes.
you're one of the great political analysts who had the balls to apologize to Australia.
Yeah,
good.
that's what they've been showing us. They've been showing us that Australian men are kind of pussies. And truth be told,
I toured there a lot, and the men were crazy. I mean, batshit crazy. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oops, whoopsie.
You know what I mean?
I hear you, Kevin. All right, bro. Thanks for the call. Yeah, I was commenting on Australia because we'd heard so much about how they were just, rolling over. and giving up their guns and giving up their freedom of speech and everything like that. And it turns out a lot of them are not happy with that, and they're voicing their opinions about it. So go ahead. Fix your stuff there, Australia. Fix your stuff. Teddy in Yonkers. What's up, Teddy?
Anthony, this is the very first time that I've spoken to you. I've listened to you sometimes. I hear you on with Sid Rosenberg. I like your personality.
Well,
Anthony, I don't care for the left-wing Democrats at all. That woman who was yelling, "Don't come in, they're ICE."
Yeah.
Okay, she's a nut job. But, Anthony, here's the difference between myself and maybe you and others that are Republicans. Anthony, before I criticize the Republicans, which I do, I have to be honest and criticize the Democrats, which I do. Otherwise, I'll keep my mouth shut. Okay,
right.
Anthony, I don't want to be a hypocrite. Anthony.
Yes.
Donald Trump is such a phony. Anthony, I'm a law and order person, and you are too. He pardoned criminals who attacked cops on January 6th, Anthony. I know personally a cop, okay, from January 6th, okay? I know exactly what the heck happened. And, Anthony, he pardoned everybody. And that's wrong, Anthony. And why don't the Republicans come out and say it? And he also pardoned the Honduras president, who was convicted, not framed. He wasn't framed, Anthony.
Right.
He was involved in narcotics trading, narcotics traffic. Anthony, and he pardoned him. The bottom line is, and then, Anthony, the worst of all is with Putin. While Zelensky supposedly met Trump today at 5 o'clock, what does Putin do last night? He bombs Kiev, killing a couple of more people. Anthony, I read something the other day. Intelligence says that Putin has no intentions whatsoever of having a peace treaty. He wants all of Ukraine, I said all of Ukraine, Anthony, and parts of Europe. And what does Trump do? He kisses his behind, Anthony.
Wow.
That's and Anthony, but none of the people at your station, including Sid Rosenberg, the biggest phony, and I'm a Jew.
Wow.
And I'm a Jew, and I despise
I
him.
could tell.
I'm not a crappy Jew, as he calls me. I'm a centrist Democrat, and I'd be willing to tell it to his face. And I'd go in the ring with him because I fought in the Golden Gloves when I was 16 at Madison Square Garden.
Wow.
And Anthony, let me tell you something. I like you, okay? And I think you could appreciate where I'm coming from, Anthony.
Teddy,
okay?
I absolutely do. Let me try to slip in here for a while. I had to look at the title of the show for a second. I go, what is this, the Anthony Cumia show, the Teddy from Yonkers show? But look, Teddy, I'm gonna hang up because your phone is crackling like you're calling from 1950. But I'll address everything you said. I will address what Teddy said because he makes some valid points. He really does. But I do want to address first the January 6th people that Trump pardoned. Yes, cops were assaulted under the umbrella of assaulting an officer. I've watched many videos, and what is considered assaulting an officer can be literally touching him on the shoulder. Now, I know it was a lot more harsh than that. There were people battling, breaking things, punching each other. I get it. And the cops get mixed up in it. It's going to end in some cops getting hit, some people getting hit. I get it. No police officer died during that altercation on January 6th. They didn't. There was a guy that had a stroke ex post facto after the fact, and he passed away. And there's been no link toward what happened to him and his illness that took his life. A woman was killed by Capitol Security who faced nothing for shooting her. She wasn't armed. You could argue that one. The problem is these January 6th people that assaulted officers, that trespassed on the Capitol, They got upwards of 30 years in prison, sir. 30 years. I have seen people on the streets that did assault officers, that shot officers, and didn't get 30 years. Because they tried to put them under this insurrection umbrella. That all these January 6ers that were arrested were trying to overthrow the government. That was a blatant attempt at the left, at the Democrats, to scare the crap out of anyone who dares say that perhaps the election wasn't on the up and up. How dare you? And if you try to do that, look at the example we set. That guy's going to be sitting on his ass in a prison for 30 years for going to the Capitol because he was pissed about the election. Oh, well, it was an insurrection. Was he? In the velvet robes, carrying out Pelosi's podium, wearing a Viking hat, even hitting a cop. And you're right, dude. I am a law enforcement, a law and order guy. But those things happen. Cops expect it. We see it all the time. And we see people doing it in every inner city, and they're out hours later for really assaulting officers. Hours later. These guys get 30 years, 20 years in prison. That's why he pardoned them. If these guys had to sit for 6 months in county for interfering with the business of the Capitol and trespassing and destruction of property and vandalism and, assaulting a law enforcement, pled down to interfering with an investigation, because that's what happens. If that was the case, there wouldn't be any pardons. Trump pardoned these guys because they got an insane injustice perpetrated upon them by being put away in prison for their lives, for the most part, as a political warning to the opposition. That's it. That is what happened. So I have no qualms, my friend from Yonkers, about Donald Trump pardoning those January 6ers. Not a qualm to be found on me for that whole thing. Now, the other things about Trump being a phony in some cases, I could see that. I don't agree with everything Trump does. I would hope most people don't. He does some pretty outrageous things. But I like the direction the country's going in. Economic numbers just came out, and they were good. They were really good. And, of course, the Democrats didn't want to mention any of that. Trump's the only one even talking about a peace deal between Putin and Zelensky. The only one even talking about it. That war was going on and on without anyone talking peace at all before Trump got into office. Biden was content, or whoever ran that crap show, was content just shoveling money and weapons over there. No one said a peep about, can we sit down and maybe discuss how to stop this, until Donald Trump. So if people have trouble with how he's doing this, Putin doesn't want a peace. All right. Well, what's Trump supposed to do about that? He's trying. You can lead an ex-commie to water. I think that's the old saying. But honestly, he's the only one. The EU didn't say anything. The whole EU, nothing. London, nothing out of London or Paris, none of them. Germany wasn't saying anything. They just let it keep continuing. Just shovel money and weapons over to them so they could just kill each other. Dummies, they look exactly the same. They got that same dopey Russian look on them, all the guys. And the girls all look like they belong on stripper poles. They're gorgeous. I will dance for you, money. Please give me a RPG for brother. I will do lap dance for you. Yeah. So I don't know, but, it seems like he's trying something. Oh, ICE, this is dehumanizing to the people. He promised to get them out of here. Get the illegals out of this country. We voted for that. And now he's doing it, and it's illegal. He's stomping on the Constitution. It's this, it's that. He should be impeached. We voted for this. And I agree. Some of the things he does, a little crazy, a little out there. But for the most part, I couldn't be happier with this Trump second term. Could not be happier. Oh, Yonkers, huh? You guys getting a casino up there? They got that one casino up there. Oofa. It's like slot machines or electronic games. But I know New York wants to get a real casino with like blackjack tables and stuff. No good could come of that. No good. I think Aqueduct Raceway, that was it. Yonkers. Yeah, so that's my take on that whole thing. The pardon was not because they did commit crimes and were justly judged and convicted and sentenced. If you think those sentences were just, then how do you explain people that rob people, even murder, and they get 10 years, 15 years? They're out in 8 with good behavior. That's justice? No. I don't buy that in a second. All right, he got me all off track, but I see the callers are there. 800-848-9222. And a lot of people want to talk about this. Pam Bondi and Kash Patel. Jerry, I'll get to him in a moment, and we'll be back. A lot more of the show to come.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yes, it is the Anthony Cumia Show. This wonderful Sunday evening. You got a little snow up there in New York, huh? Boy, people were texting me and saying, "Do you miss the snow and the cold around Christmas?" No. It was about 77 degrees for Christmas Day here. I'm like, loving it. I don't need the snow. Because what is it? Nice for 10 minutes, especially in the city. Then you get that horrible brake pad dust snow. Don't need it. We get back to the phones here and talk about, I want to go to Jerry in Jersey. Jerry, what's up?
Hi, Anthony. So you can say whatever you want next.
Hello?
Attorney General for Biden and Christopher Wray, the FBI director for Biden, which now we have Kash Patel and Pam Bondi in the Trump administration.
Yeah.
I'm going to measure Kash Patel and Pam Bondi by if they're as good as Christopher Wray and Merrick Garland were when they handled January 6th. They got approximately 600 people convicted and 1,200 convicted and 1,600 arrested and 1,200 went to jail.
Yeah.
And I want to see something like that happen with the Somalians because you know that anecdotally and what we're looking at here looks like a total mess. Let's see if they've got the guts, the political will to take care of business and the ability to do it. Because Garland and Christopher Wray, they sure did a very good job, even though their goal was ridiculous, and not, we wouldn't laud it, but they sure were efficient at doing it, and they got it done. What they
Jerry,
wanted to do.
let me tell you exactly why they were so efficient at what they did in that situation. The January 6th people were portrayed in every way, shape, and form on every type of media as evil, insurrectionists, traitors, monsters, violent. Any evil you wanted to put on them was put on them, and it was put out to the entire country, and very few people understood the situation and didn't believe what the news was pushing. So no one really stood in Merrick Garland's way to convict those horrible traitors. The Somalis are all looked at as these poor refugees. And even the people that perpetrated the fraud and corruption, it's just a few because the vast majority are great people. They're victims of this. That's how it's portrayed. The propaganda in this country is so effective that it makes it very difficult to do what needs to be done in this country. And getting rid of the vast majority of Somalis in Minneapolis would be impossible. Yet it's the only way anything would get solved up there.
So you can indict a ham sandwich. That's pretty much true if you have the real will to do it, because there's really no defense to indictments hardly at all.
Killed Mama Cass. I'd indict a ham sandwich on murder for the death of Mama Cass Elliott of the Mamas and the Papas.
Pam Bondi, my point is, Pam Bondi should be getting a lot of indictments.
Yeah, she's not. I don't like Pam Bondi. She's not effective.
Neither
she hasn't
do I.
done anything. Anytime she's done anything that's gotten any press, she comes out looking like a buffoon, handing out the Epstein report to internet entertainers, not even influencers. They're just entertainers. That was a goof. That was nothing. She hasn't really followed through. She lost when she indicts people. They drop all charges within a week. It's the worst. It's terrible. They're not good at their job and need to be replaced.
So Jeanine Pirro, I'm just wondering why she wasn't the pick. I got a feeling she would have been better. And now I'll get off and let other callers come through. That's my last comment. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, that propaganda machine is amazing in this country. And we might think we're making some headway. You know, there are people speaking their mind a lot more these days. We have the public media like Nick Shirley and a lot of others. But we are still shackled to this mainstream media. And a lot of people have the perception that they are valid and they're telling you the truth. And if people hear something enough times, they believe it. And when they heard that the January 6th people were insurrectionists and evil traitors and they deserved to get 30 years in prison, they believed it. So it wasn't that hard. No one was trying to stop their indictment and trial and convictions and sentences. Those sentences were insane. And no one was trying to stop it. Now, when you see this Somali thing, they're just making allegations now. All people are asking for is a thorough investigation. And already politicians and people are coming out saying this is horribly racist and Islamophobic, and these people are just as much victims as you are. How do you fight that? How do you fight that? If you're looking for a parade, and I am, a parade of Somalis being arrested, being led out of these phony child daycare centers, all in cuffs, you know, you're fantasizing. That is not going to happen. And you're certainly not going to see Tampon Tim Walz being brought out in handcuffs. Somali flag waving in his front yard, this piece of garbage. You're just not going to see it. Unfortunately. But, you know, they convicted Trump, and believe me, if he hadn't won that election, or it wouldn't have looked really, really bad, he'd be in jail. They sentenced him. He'd have been in jail. That's how easy it works for them, because they have the propaganda machine working for them. And who are you calling Nazis? Who has a propaganda machine that works like that? Could make the entire nation do horrible things. All right, back in a flash. Don't go anywhere. Anthony Cumia Show continues.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. And, boy, I was just scrolling, as I do during the breaks, Anthony Cumia on X, if you want to get in touch with me there, if you can't get through on the telephones. So I was looking at that, and there's this COPA law in New York that just passed. This concerns private property and selling of private property, which, if you know commies like Mamdani, they hate the idea of private property. And what they are going to be doing is the city now gives government-approved nonprofits first dibs when an owner is trying to sell a property. So if you have a building and you list it for a certain price, you have to approach, or a government agency or nonprofit can approach you and say, we want to buy that. Here's our offer. They have to be able to put in the first offer. And now if you don't like it and you go, no, that's not what I want, it's too low, I want more money, then you could put it on the open market. But if you get somebody that comes up and says, yeah, I want to offer you this much, you have to go back to the city because they have the right of first refusal. So if somebody comes up and now wants to offer you the amount you want, but not as much as the government, the city, wanted to give you, you still have to give them a chance to match what the new buyer wanted to give you. And you have to wait through all that bureaucracy and time for them to decide, get back to you with their answer. And a lot of deals fall through at that point. A buyer doesn't want to sit there for 6 months waiting because the city hasn't decided whether to match his offer or not. This is just a perfect way for the government to take control of your private property. What else is there? Why else would they do this than to prevent you from selling your building to another private owner by just throwing speed bumps and cinder blocks in the way? Yep. So look forward to that. More people, if you're thinking of buying property in New York City. Just crazy. Good luck with all of that, New York. More on this Somali fraud that's going on everywhere. I mean, people are starting to look into Ohio and California, a lot of other cities that have insane amounts of money being given to them by the federal government, and who knows where it's going? Who knows who it's going to? Governor Walz, he was talking about fraud in 2019. So obviously he was right on top of it, ready to make sure the proper authorities were informed about this fraud and take care of it. This is 6 years ago. What happened? But let's hear how on top of it Governor Tim Walz was talking about fraud in 2019.
I want to be clear that the Legislative Audit Report gave us a clear path. It told us that we could do better, and just like Minlar's, I now own that, and I own the fix for that. But I do want to be clear, before we take some other questions on this, that what needs to stop is a demonization of one community involved in this. What needs to stop is an absolutely unproven storyline that continues to resurface on the House floor, that this money went to terrorists and it's targeted at one group of our citizens here, of Minnesotans. We'll own that this thing needs to be fixed. We'll own that there were problems in this. We will own that there are fixes, and we think we proposed the right amount, but we're open to that to try and close this. But again, I am not going to allow folks to use this as a hammer against a group of people.
Good. So he had the fixes. He knew it was happening. He had the fixes 6 years ago. And what happened? His prime directive here seems to be, hey, let's not look at a community of people here. That was the thing he was most passionate about in that little speech he was giving right there back in 2019. You know, we understand there have been some problems, billions of dollars of problems, fraud, corruption. God knows if this gets into terrorism, international terrorism. But please, let's not look at, one community. There's no proof. There's no anything. It's terrible. Every single one of these places are Somali owned and operated. Every single one. I don't think they'd allow a non-Somali to get into their scheme. What do you think? If it's like the mob, it's like the old mafia. They're not just going to let someone, oh, what a good scheme you got here. Let me just set up shop also. Is that cool with you guys? This is organized crime on a huge level and with impunity, apparently. Everyone knew this was going on. No one's doing anything about it. And Governor Walz, his main concern was that we don't look at one community. He wouldn't even say it. Let's not look at one. Oh, it must be the Irish up there. Oh, those Irish. That's what it is. He wouldn't even say Somali community. We know. You could say it. Jeez, man. It just doesn't end. And this is what makes it so difficult. He's the governor, and he won't even mention who is doing this. He's telling people not to say who is doing this. And then what? People in his administration or a whistleblower or what have you is supposed to go to him and go, hey, we got an issue here with this. And it is Somalis doing it. You think he's going to jump right on it? Those are his voters. And if not his voters, there's certainly the voters of people like Ilhan Omar, who works with Tim Walz in God knows what else, what other corruption and fraud that's going on. So that's why nothing gets done. And depending on how deep this goes and who else is involved, nothing will be done because of how deep it goes and how powerful the people are and how important this Somali scheme is to politics. A lot of that money, yeah, let's say a lot of it goes off to Somalia to finance what horrors I don't even know. But you don't think a lot of that money is staying right here in the U.S. and goes to Tim Walz's campaign or Ilhan Omar's husband's venture capital company that has somehow gone from $200,000 to $30 or $38 million in a year? Do we think that's a coincidence? Do you think with all the corruption you're seeing in this Somali community, all the corruption that we see going on, the fraud, and then Ilhan Omar and her husband with this brand new venture capital company makes $38 million in a year, and it's not somehow connected? I thought it was, connected. Somehow connected? That she's got her grimy little mitts in on it with her husband? Just like Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi, same thing. She made, a couple of $100,000 at her job. But her brilliant stock market husband made millions upon millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, because he's so good at trading stock. Boy, it almost seemed like he knew exactly what was going to happen as far as regulation goes in certain sectors, certain companies that were going to get a grant or less government regulation. And then they just on a whim, I figured I'd buy NVIDIA. And then they get less restriction and the stock goes through the roof, and they just happen to have it. Or a stock is a company's going to get more restriction or government oversight or investigation. And you short sell it and you make money off of that too, because your husband is so brilliant. The guy that let a bum come in and beat him with a hammer, that brilliant husband. So if you don't think Ilhan Omar might have something to do with this Somali thing and these daycare centers, and then to top it off, I just hear that that her husband, Ilhan Omar's husband, just wiped out a few names on the website for his venture capital company. All of a sudden, the names just were gone. So he's editing his website for his company. Why? Some of those names turn up on other lists, like the names of child care centers, or received money from people that aren't. I was looking at a list also of all these child daycare companies in Minneapolis making government campaign contributions, Democrat campaign contributions in Minneapolis and the state of Minnesota. Coincidence, I guess, again. It's all just coincidence. This is, this is big. A lot of big people, I believe, are involved in this. But I'm so pessimistic that anything is going to happen that holds people accountable. You heard Mr. Yonkers. Oh, the January Sixers. Oh, yeah. Hold some trespassers accountable as we just get robbed by third worlders. Their entire country is based on piracy. And they come here and what? You think they're just going to be these amazing minds, amazing people that could do amazing things for our country? Or are they going to do exactly what they did in Somalia? Steal. Yeah, I think we know the answer to that. We see examples, glaring examples. Okay, don't go anywhere, please. We'll be right back.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show, and talking about Ilhan Omar and her husband, and somehow they made $38 million in a year during the same time where all this corruption and fraud is being exposed. Just a little too convenient. So Ilhan, I guess this was the other day, was talking about Donald Trump saying that she should be deported if it turns out there was fraud in her immigration situation. Oh, Jesus. Where she supposedly married her brother. Those are rumors and allegations. But Ilhan says she's not afraid to be deported. Interesting take. And I think I know the reason why she's not afraid. Let's listen to Ilhan Omar.
I mean, I have no worry. I don't know how they take away my citizenship and deport me, but I don't even know why that's such a scary threat. I'm not the 8-year-old who escaped war anymore. I'm grown. My kids are grown. I can go live wherever I want.
Go live wherever I want. Please do. She's not the scared little 8-year-old leaving a war-torn nation. Didn't your family run the war? Weren't they the people that all the refugees that were fleeing were afraid of? You were like royalty over there. And then you come here and want to transform Minnesota into Somalia. But she's not afraid to be deported. She's grown up. Her kids are grown, and she could go anywhere. Yeah. $38 million and probably a lot more than that shoved in. That's like money that they had to report. Imagine the money that's socked away somewhere in Somalia or other crappy countries. But, I would think, she's so sure the heat will never touch her. It will never get bad enough where she has to worry that she's going to be thrown in prison. She knows. But if that slim chance of it happening actually did come to fruition, she's got money and an entire nation, Somalia, that will take her back in with her blood money, and there you go. She's royalty again in her home country, living in the only civilized part of it, probably in charge of terrorizing people. Not that I would care, but that's why she's not afraid. I would love to see a situation where she had to flee, where she had to become a refugee of this country because of political persecution. But that persecution was absolutely real, just, and honest. Because you cannot sell me at this point that her hands are clean in this whole thing. This has just dirty politicians written all over it. And Senator Johnson, he's a good one. He's looking to investigate this. They've been talking about, I mean, this is really going to be the talk of D.C. for at least a week, you know, at least till New Year. They might have to fire off some kind of a false flag incident again, maybe a shooting or a plane crash or something to take the heat off the poor Somalis. But Johnson here, he looking to investigate, and he sounds pretty serious, but that never means anything. Let's listen.
Well, first of all, we need to put all kinds of pressure on the state agencies to give us their records. Now, I'm chairman of the Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations. This will be a primary focus of ours. We're already reaching out to Nick Shirley and David and other people who can provide testimony for this, but we also need documents. So, you know, these agency heads who funnel the federal money to the state agencies, they have to demand that the state agencies are transparent. And unfortunately, particularly in Democrat-controlled states, they're not. They're refusing to turn over those records. I've got subpoena power. I will use that subpoena power to obtain these records because we have to get to the bottom of this. Understand, Somalis have just been in this country a few years. They're amateurs when it comes to fleecing the federal government. And let's face it, the federal government is probably the easiest consumer, the easiest payer to fleece, and states do it time and time again. So this is just the tip of the iceberg.
No, I agree with him that the states and the federal government are very easy to fleece. They're handing out money. They can't hand it out fast enough to these NGOs and these interest groups and grants and everything they hand out. They don't know where it's going. They don't care. They just want money to come back in campaign contributions and votes. That's what they want. But the way he's talking just makes me go, I was exhausted. And we have subpoena power, and we need documents that they just stop. Get the FBI and start kicking in doors. Start kicking in doors to child daycare centers. Did you see that? Yeah, that's what needs to be done. A parade of pajamas and burqas with handcuffs a-jingling. That's what needs to happen. These politicians with their hearings and subpoenas, and we need this form and that form. And then the Democrats sit in the same hearing, and all they say is, you're a racist, and these are wonderful people, and nothing gets done. So, yeah, nothing gets done. I think we got one more here. We got one more sound clip from Stephen Miller. Steve, keep on rocking me, babe. Steve Miller, he says this fraud goes pretty deep. And again, it's like, I don't know. He sounds good. I like the way he sounds. But is any of this going to happen? Let's listen.
Found so far, we believe that the Somali fraud operation in Minnesota is the single greatest theft of taxpayer dollars through welfare fraud in American history. We believe that we have only scratched the very top of the surface of how deep this goes. And you're familiar with all the scams with pretending that children have autism who are not in fact autistic, with pretending to enroll people in food programs when in fact nobody was ever enrolled, and engaging in massive fraud, lying, and theft and grift on a scale we've never seen before in American history. The total bill, the total tab for this is going to be far beyond the numbers we've already seen reported. We believe the state government is fully complicit in this scheme, and we believe that what we are going to uncover is going to shock the American people. Look, based on the records that we already have, and this is a significant undercount, by the way, 75% of the Somali population in Minnesota is on welfare. But that's likely a significant undercount. of just how much of a financial burden the Somali refugee population is imposing on this country.
Can you 70% on welfare? How do these politicians get up there like Walls and Ilhan and tell the country what great what great people? Thank God they're here. They do so much for our country. They contribute so much that Minneapolis would collapse without the Somali community. When 70% are on the take, on the government till, how do you say that with a straight face? And they do, without any embarrassment. Some of the people coming here, I'll be honest, some of the people coming here from other countries are worthless. They're not helping with carrying the load of America, taking up the burden of running a civil Western society, building, maintaining this great country. Some of the people come here and all they want to do is steal and undermine the way we want to live our lives as Americans. And the Somalis, boy, do they seem to be right in that boat. All right, back in moments. Plenty more of the show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show, and we're obviously the big story is the Somali fraud going on and how it's opened up the investigations, or at least more of these citizen journalists digging into some of these public records and businesses in some of these cities and some of these communities of migrants that are just perpetrating fraud. It's costing us a lot of money. And, we have things we could well be spending our money on as far as our tax dollars go in this country than shipping it off to a third world nation or having it go into the war chests of Democrat campaigns when you despise the Democrat Party. I don't want to be contributing to their elections. That's not a good thing. It pisses me off, quite frankly. We'll talk a little bit. We'll get off of that for a little bit because I want to get into Zoran Mamdani in New York. He's, of course, appointing his cabinet, his people, the police commissioner, I guess, Tish, or whatever her name is, she's staying on. And then they got the fire chief, which is a big job in New York. That's a biggie. We saw a 9/11. Oh, my God. If you think you're just occasionally going to have to pull a hose out and put out a little brush fire somewhere in the FDNY, you're sadly mistaken. A lot happens. And you want a leader that has experience in all of those things that may happen. There are firemen that have gone up the ranks that have experienced things like 9/11 and horrific fires and had to think on their feet and literally saved lives by putting their own life at risk. And they know what their people need. They know what firemen need to do their job. They've experienced it, so they know what they don't need to hear from politicians. They need support. Zoran Mamdani has taken all that into consideration, and he's got a woman, I think, that he's appointed FDNY fire chief. Let's listen to Zoran Mamdani praising his new fire chief.
Lillian Bonsignor is a career first responder. In just 9 days, she'll be running the world's busiest fire department, one of the most important appointments of the incoming administration.
And they deserve a leader who cares about their work because she did it herself, who understands every detail, and who will fight tirelessly to empower FDNY and make it the best firefighting force in the world.
Lillian Bonsignor began her career as an EMT in 1991 and was ultimately promoted to chief of the city's EMS division, where she served for 3 years before retiring in 2022. Although she never served as a firefighter, she's confident that won't matter.
I know the job. I know what the firefighters need, and I can translate that to this administration who's willing to listen. I know what EMS needs. I have been EMS for 30 plus years.
Bonsignor is a trailblazer for the LGBTQ community, who will serve as the FDNY's first openly gay commissioner. She's a highly respected, detail-oriented manager whose style has been compared to NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch, who will remain in her post in the new administration.
Can you say DEI hire? DEI appointment? Yes, the lesbian fire chief. I mean, is it necessary? We saw what a lesbian fire chief did during the California blazes that happened just about a year ago, right? On that January of 2025, year-end review. So I was looking into a few stats here. Women still make up a small percentage of the FDNY. Roughly 3% of the 11,000-person workforce as of early 2025. So I don't think many things have changed as of yet, but 3%. Now you add in the lesbian angle, using the conservative estimate of between 6 and 15. There are perhaps anywhere from 6 to 15 lesbian women in the FDNY. As a percentage of the workforce, it's 0.03%. Anywhere from 0.03 to 0.09% of the total workforce of the fire department in New York City. Do you think that's a good representation? Do you think that person has the experience? Why would they be such a low percentage of the workforce if they have so much experience at it, at being a fireman person thing? I don't get it. Everyone talks about representation. Oh, don't we like seeing people that represent us? I don't like the idea that we work here and we do this and we don't get representation. Well, you're represented in the numbers that make up you and your people in certain populations or organizations, and you are, let's just say, 0.05% of the fire department. This doesn't work well. The fire department is traditionally a very manly, masculine occupation. It needs strong people, men. It needs people that can think on their feet, have the power, resilience to do the job, carrying people out of buildings, hauling very, very heavy equipment around. And this is saving lives. These are how they save people's lives. This isn't making coffee at Starbucks. The idea that he chose this politically correct, virtue signaling appointment is, again, exactly what you would expect Zoran Mamdani to do. Exactly what you'd expect him to do. Qualifications be damned. Doesn't matter. I want a big lesbian woman as my fire chief. So I'll pick someone that has never been a fireman, has never been on a fire call, geared up, ran the hose, an axe, the ladders, just EMS. All right, we get it. That's part of the emergency response team in New York. Sure. It's not the FDNY. There's a lot going on with the fire department that a chief should have experience in doing. They know the equipment. They know when equipment needs to be updated, changed, fixed. They know the men. They've been through some of the psychological stuff that these men go through when they're in a fire, when they're done, when they're faced with losing a life. And he appoints somebody that has none of that experience, just because she's a lesbian. That's why. That was number one on his list. I guarantee you he had a list of people, and there were people that were so much more qualified than this woman. And he's like, lesbian. I want a lesbian. I want a lesbian. And that's what he got. Eric, Orlando, Florida. What's up, Eric?
Hey, what's up, Anthony? How you doing?
Oh, pretty good.
Now, right when you were speaking about this, when I was listening some stuff about the people he picked, I know there's a lot of Muslims in New York City, and I'm dying to know what their thoughts are about hiring people where if those people were in predominantly Muslim countries, they might be getting invited to a VIP rooftop party, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's got it all planned out. He's chummy with the Jewish communities in New York, too, and I'm sure the hardcore Muslims don't like that. But it's all part of a plan. You know, none of these people actually like some of the people they pick and they're working with. It's all a scheme to make themselves look like they're tolerant, and then they get in there and they're able to pull all the crap they want, and then they could turn around and go, what are you talking about? Look at me. I appointed a lesbian fire chief. How crazy extremist Muslim could I possibly be? And it's a way to, you know, you're garnering favor with the New York community of liberals that elected you. Oh, see? First thing he did, lesbian. And they don't care. They don't care how well the FDNY can fight a fire and save people. They just care that a big fat lesbian is running the show. It's disgusting, quite frankly. Eric?
Yes.
Yeah. Anything to add to that, or are we through with our?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, you know, it's gonna be a crazy show when he's starting on the first of the year. So it's a good thing you made it out of New York, Anthony. You did the smart move.
Thank you, Eric. I invite anyone else to leave New York State. Thanks, bro. Yeah. New Year's Eve. That's how they do it. That's how they do it in New York City, the mayor. New Year's Eve, I think Bernie Sanders will be joining him in Times Square right after the big ball drops. Happy New Year. And then they swear in Zoran Mamdani. 4 years of, at least 4 years of Zoran Mamdani as your mayor, New York City. Oh, brother. People psyched for New Year's Eve? I was talking with my good friend, Mr. Gavin McInnes, and we were discussing New York. We're both from New York. We've done the Times Square New Year's Eve thing at some point. I did it a few times. But before they put all the cattle enclosures in place, and they have you stand there for hours and hours and hours. From the afternoon until midnight, you are standing in one spot in a cage on Broadway. and 7th Avenue. That's how you celebrate in New York City. Sometimes it's freezing cold, raining, and you're just standing there for hours. There's no pit stops. You don't get to leave the gate to go to a restroom. There's no booze. You're not allowed to drink in your little pen. You just stand there for hours in one spot, staring at a ball until it drops down. Happy New Year. And then the get the F out of here parade starts, where police and everyone are opening up the gates and just telling you, leave, you got to keep moving, get out of here. Sounds fun, doesn't it? I went to Caroline's on Broadway, a great comedy club that isn't there anymore. And a comedy show, dinner, and then at midnight, right before midnight, the comic on stage would go, okay, we're all going to go upstairs. And you'd go upstairs, walk out the front door, 5, 4, 3, Happy New Year. And then you're back inside in the nice warm comedy club drinking and watching a comic. That was the way to do it. Can't do that no more. They just don't do that anymore. So what I've noticed over the course of the years, they just don't have people, Americans, that want to get into these pens and stand and watch this. It is all foreigners. I've noticed a lot when they pan the camera over the crowd, they're all holding some like sponsored thing. It's got like some product on it, and they got their dumb glasses on, 2026, and they just don't seem to know what they're doing there. Happy New Year, yeah, and it's over, and get the F out of here. So I don't know. I don't know of anyone that would want to do something like that. It's not like the old Dick Clark New Year's Rockin' Eve. It's another thing that the average American just wouldn't want to do. I'm surprised they're doing it. I'm actually surprised they're doing it this year because so many other cities are canceling their holiday plans. Christmas tree lightings were canceled, and I think Paris, France, has canceled their big New Year's Eve fireworks show because of this threat of Islamic violence. And, if we're going to do that, remember the old, the terrorists win if we don't celebrate. If you, go out, do what you got to do what you want to do, enjoy yourselves, just be safe and keep a lookout, but don't let them stop you or they win. And then the government stops you. Oh, we're not going to do that. We're not lighting trees. We're not doing fireworks. Here I was doing what I was doing, going through life, head on a swivel. And now you're the one responsible for me having to go, oh, the terrorist won, I guess. Not that I think we should. It's kind of sacrificial when they just send us out there and go, hey, live your life. Don't let the terrorists make you paranoid. Go out there and have fun with your family. And then you do that, and some Islamic mental patient in a truck runs you over with a bunch of other people. And what was I supposed to do? You told me to go out here and enjoy myself, but you're allowing these people to pour into the country unvetted. They're known to the FBI in a lot of cases. There's and I'm the racist one if I say anything, but it's fine if I get run over by a truck driven by one of these maniacs. So, on both sides, the terrorist side and our own government, they're just screwing us. They're just screwing us over. And that's another reason why I wouldn't go to Times Square, because who knows? Who knows when one of them gets a set of balls on them and decides they're going to try to do something on the big night in the big city. No one seems to be trying to avoid it. We don't have a government, especially in New York City, that cares about the safety of the citizens. They care if you're saying Islamic terrorism. They care if you're saying illegal alien instead of undocumented citizen. So, they tell us to go out and have fun and don't worry. And they don't even give you the tools They take away your tools to defend yourself. Well, I think a gunfight, a protracted gunfight in the middle of those pens in Times Square on New Year's Eve might be a bit of a problem. I'm sure they wouldn't allow you anyway. They don't allow you to arm yourself. But, they take away your ability to protect yourself at any given moment and then tell you, go ahead, do what you do. Just do what you do. Don't pay attention to the fact that you're in grave danger. All right. Thanks. That sounds fun. All right, people. Don't go anywhere. Back with more show in a minute.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. And, of course, what Sunday night would be complete without Sandra from New Jersey. Sandra, what's up, dear?
Wow, just dozed off and I just woke up. That was a luck of stroke. You were putting me to a peaceful little sleep.
That's always good to hear as an entertainer.
Yeah. I wanted to say, nice sleep, a peaceful one tonight because I'm a little, everything I say tonight is going to go wrong. But first of all, I wanted to say, on January 6th, no one ever mentions there was a doctor there in the mix with those other people with Ashley Babbitt. And he was there in that mix, and he wanted to give that girl CPR. And the police pushed him away and wouldn't let him try to save her life. Nobody mentions that. So I wanted to mention that. And then I also wanted to mention that in Italy, I read this morning that a lot of money that was supposed to go to charities in Italy, where they went to the Hamas people. So that's another fraudulent thing that people don't talk about that goes on. But I really called today because I wanted to learn why you put the Monopoly game on Truth Social. That's one of my favorite games. And I was curious, and I also wanted to ask you what resolution you're going to make for the new year.
Oh, you mean the picture of Christmas where I was playing Monopoly?
I don't know if you were playing it. It was just there on the.
Yeah, it was just what my little view was on Christmas evening. Nice peaceful, peaceful game, Monopoly, where you just start yelling at your significant other and throwing things around. No, it was just what was going on. Nice, peaceful, quiet
That's so nice.
Christmas evening. Yeah,
I missed that game. That was a fun game. And then what is your? Yeah.
My resolution. You sound like like the starter for an old radio thing. Hey, Sandra from Jersey wants to know, what's your New Year's resolution? We're going to be taking your calls. We want to hear, what's your New Year's resolution? Quit smoking, maybe? Lose a few pounds? It's like a classic old hacky radio bit, but I don't do the resolution thing, Sandra. I have my philosophy, Molly. My philosophy is just constantly, whatever day it is of the year, maybe try to better yourself a little bit. Not constantly, not every day, but if the whim hits you and you think like, maybe I should exercise a little more, or maybe I could do this a little better, do it. I think resolutions are bad because you're doing something you don't really want to do. You're forced to do it because the day dictates you pick something to do or not do anymore. And then, you don't want to follow through with it. And I don't think people do many times.
Well, that's a good point. That's very true.
What do you have planned for a resolution? Stop drinking?
I have two. Believe it or not, one is I'm going to start drinking water. I don't like water. So this year I'm going to start drinking water.
A little scotch in it.
All right, I'll put some. No, I'm not going to put any. No, I have to drink it plain. That's the whole point. I have to learn to like it plain. And then the second thing I want to learn is patience. And what I mean by that is
on guitar.
Patience.
Oh, I thought you were Guns N' Roses. I'm sorry. Yes, patience. Okay, my mistake.
Yeah, like if I do something nice to someone and I expect a reaction and I don't get it. I'm not going to press the send button on my phone. I talked about that this week. That button can get you in trouble. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have patience. And maybe
what do? You write up a spicy little text and you send it?
I'm not going to do it. Patience. I'm going to keep my mouth, I'm just going to just be patient. Maybe that beautiful response will come. And it did. It happened to me this week. I was very upset about something, and I was not patient, and I was about to press the send button, but I didn't do it. And am I glad I didn't? Because
Good for you.
Yeah.
I have a story like that back in 2014. I pushed a button on an X post, and, so it happened. But, all right, Sandra. Well, Happy New Year to you, dear. And
same to you, Anthony.
all the best. Good luck with your resolution. There she goes. Great Sandra from New Jersey. Yeah, resolutions are, it's kind of a fun thing to do, I guess. People might acknowledge, at least talk about an issue they have or something they would like to better in themselves. But, just saying, all right, January 1st, quitting smoking is always a big thing. I don't think as many people smoke anymore as they used to, but that was always a big resolution thing. All right, I'm going to stop smoking. And you have to, smoking's like alcoholism. You have to want to quit smoking. And anyone that says, I'm going to quit after this pack or I'm going to quit next week, you're not going to do well. You have to quit that minute. I want to quit smoking. You have a full pack of cigarettes in your pocket, throw it away. Throw it away. That's what my buddy Jim Norton did. He goes, yeah, I'm going to, because I quit smoking. And then he goes, yeah, I'm going to quit after this pack. I go, what are you doing? No, quit now. If you're going to quit right now. And he did. And he's never smoked at least a cigarette. We know what he has smoked. Oh, Anthony, he's a good friend of mine. Yeah, that's how you do it. So to put a date on it, all right, January 1st, I'm going on a diet and I'm doing this. It doesn't work. Working out, you got to want to do it. Yeah, that's exactly what I did with smoking too. I just stopped. Cold turkey, as they call it. I tripped up a few times over the course of the years, but the last time I quit was the last time, and that was probably over 20 years ago. Wow. My God, man. And to think I started for the sheer reason that it was cool. That's right, kids. Smoking's cool. Remember how they would tell you it's not cool? That works once you get a little older. But if you started smoking in your teens, early teens or something like that, there's no one going to tell you smoking doesn't look cool. It did. But, yeah, it took a while to quit. 15 years. Back in a second. Stick around.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Thanks for tuning in during this holiday week. It's the holiday week, the in-between week, where we all go, what the hell are we doing? Vacation? I don't like traveling during this time of year because, again, like New Year's Eve, it's the rookie time. The rookie time of traveling. I like traveling on days where it's businessmen, people that just know how to fly. Not, literally flapping arms. They know how to fly. You pack accordingly. If you can fit everything in a carry-on, it's a carry-on that you're supposed to carry on. It fits in the overhead. You don't put your jacket in the overhead or a little duffel bag that could go under your seat. You're taking up space for a carry-on suitcase up there. TSA, they don't know what they're doing. They go into panic mode. I do not like that. And the holidays, it's 10 times the people, 10 times the problems. So if you are vacationing and having to travel during this Christmas/New Year time, Godspeed to you. I'm seeing a lot of entertaining videos come out of it all. My algorithm on social media, allows me to see a lot of these videos from Spirit Air or Southwest, Frontier Airlines, the fun and hijinks that go on at the ticketing counters and the gates. Oh, boy. Throw that factor in, and now you got a complete cluster F for your holiday travels. Let's talk to Scott in Florida. Scott, how you doing, man?
Hey, Ant. How you doing, man?
Good, good.
Yeah, we were going to celebrate Kwanzaa down here, but 2 Somali pirates stole my Kanara. Can you believe that?
Stole your Kanara, huh?
They
stole my Kanara.
No!
I can't believe it. I left it out on the windowsill, and the Somali pirates, they stole it. Anyway, Scott, what's up?
You're talking about like the year review. I think the biggest disappointment has been Pam Bondi as Attorney General.
Absolutely.
I mean, there was promise and like, wow, people are going to, stuff's finally going to hit the fan. We're going to see results. And once again, it's nothing. Just the swamp is the swamp, and it'll always be the swamp. And even Donald Trump can't get rid of it.
Yeah, that really surprises me that she is still on board. She looks bad already, right? She's
right.
Dropped the ball so many times. I have no faith in her, no confidence. But now it makes me second guess and third guess and fifth guess what Donald Trump does. Look, he's made a lot of bonehead decisions. And you would think Pam Bondi would be one where, well, we're mutual for mutual reasons, or she wants to spend time with her family. Come up with an excuse and get rid of her. Send her walking, because she's doing nothing at a time where she needs to be doing everything. Crazy stuff, Mr. Scott. Mr. Scott. Scotty. I guess we can go talk about this kind of has something to do with illegals. Something as illegal as gambling in Bushwood, sir. Chris Hansen. Everyone knows who Chris Hansen is. He's the guy you don't want to see in the kitchen when you're just going on an innocent date with someone you met online. Woofa. So you've got your Zima, and you came here for sex. I have your transcripts right here. It says, I want to blank your blank, and I will bring the Colt 45 malt liquor and a doobie for sex. Chris Hansen, he did the To Catch a Predator shows. They were, oh boy, very popular. Very popular. Until one of the guys decided, hey, I'm screwed. I think I'll blow my brains out. And then I think it made NBC a little leery of exposing these people's proclivities and having the cops jump on them and arrest them the second they get out the door. It just was a messy, messy situation. So Chris took it online, and he's still been doing this, Catch a Predator. And even Chris Hansen has noticed a little change in the demographic of people that come knocking at the door of the young men and women, young boys and gals online. So here's Chris talking about just that.
We have seen an increase in illegal immigrants being caught in our stings across the country. And it seems today that we can't do a sting, whether we're in the South or the Midwest or West Coast or East Coast, without catching somebody who's in this country illegally.
Yeah. Isn't that a problem? We always hear about how great diversity is. It's our greatest strength. And how these people, everyone, for some reason, has a right to come to this country. and make their lives better. Because the only reason anyone is coming here is to make a better life for them and their family. Do you believe that for a second? When you see boatloads of Africans pulling up to the coast of any European country, you know, Italy a lot of times gets invaded. Greece gets invaded. They come from Africa, and it's men. They're fleeing a war-torn nation or an impoverished nation or a nation that is suffering from starvation. And they're the men that look like they're in perfect shape to fight a war, dig a well, farm, or raise cattle. So you're leaving just worsens the problem. And it seems they're leaving behind their women and children. That would be if it actually was them just leaving because of those problems. But it's not. They're leaving to change the demographic of a European nation, Western civilized white nations. That's it. And it's all financed. It's all calculated by people that have this want, this craving to destroy civilized Western nations. So, you know, when Chris Hansen is even noticing an increase in illegals, you would think that would be once in a blue moon you'd see that, because these are wonderful people that are coming here to get away from such perversion. These people are committing a lot of sexual assaults. A lot. And no one wants to talk about that either. That gets put away, and you're called, again, Islamophobic, racist. England, my God, the United Kingdom, they suffer from this problem, these sexual assaults by people from India, people from the Middle East, sub-Saharan Africa, and they go, oh, they're just as much have a right to be in England. They're English too. They are now English people. Yeah? I don't think they understand the laws, because that guy right there at 12 noon is naked, and he's assaulting someone. I don't think he gets it. Calls himself English, or you call him English. He calls himself a couple of clicks, a tick, and but you call him English, and he doesn't get it. The rules. So that's what we're getting here. Chris Hansen has to tell us that illegals are trying to hook up with 13-year-old girls or boys, depending on what the show is. You're here for a teen boy. What have you brought? Let me look in the bag here. You have some Bud Light and some Fruity Pebbles. What? I like Bud Light and Fruity Pebbles. Well, let me see what time. Oh, well, I'll get to that next break, because the Boston mayor is just another one that I spoke about Australia and how the men of Australia have let me down. I grew up watching Crocodile Dundee, and that's what I knew. The Road Warrior. That's what I knew about Aussie men, rough and tumble guys, ready to square off and fight. And then I saw what happened. And it's like, these guys are kind of wimps. And then I saw that, no, indeed, they are men, and they're trying to fight for their rights and what they're doing over there and their country. So I apologized for calling Aussie men wussies. Well, Boston men, what happened? You were the same kind of rough and tumble, Southie, gingers. Oh, yeah, we're going down to the pub. I don't want to see any of that garbage down there. And now you have a mayor that's just out of her mind, a DEI mayor. So we'll talk about her. She has a lot to say about Boston and who's made it great. Back in seconds. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. That is correct. Why don't you take a seat over there? I've read your transcripts, and you're here for sex. What's in the bag? You brought Martini and Rossi and a Pez dispenser. You're here for sex. Let's talk to... Hello, Susan. In Corning, of course, New York. What's up, Susan?
Wow, what an intro. I can't quite wrap my head around that. So when you talk about never Scotch. Yeah.
It is terrible.
I would just say I wanted to weigh in on the one thing. I adore President Trump, but I really disagree. The way he did the designation of lowering marijuana
yes.
Because, and I just really want to target this towards young people, people under 25, especially now. I witnessed many times in my many years of riding the subways and all kinds of neighborhoods in Brooklyn, that 12, 13-year-olds, kids who couldn't even shave, 5 or 6 of them walking the streets, and not in the hood, in pretty good neighborhoods,
right,
smoking marijuana, and that now we've spent $5 billion on research on marijuana, and it is undeniable that it is extremely dangerous on many levels for young people. And now we're seeing, and if you just read through some of these things, Kevin Sabat, you got to go find about Kevin Sabat. He's
stay on course here. Stay on one thought here, Susan. Stay on target.
Exactly. Okay, target is
stay on target.
We have to have not legal things go for them, but we have to be sure that these kids, when they are found on the streets, they're not legal to be drinking. We don't have to do anything criminal, but we have to make some kinds of. They have to go through some kind of education. They have to. Their parents have to be contacted because it's known that it can cause psychosis.
Yes, I have seen that, Susan. Thank you. And I am going to talk more on this, right? You could listen on your listening device. But thank you, Susan. Yes, I agree with Susan. Scotch is terrible. You should probably just drink vodka. I agree wholeheartedly. No, I agree with Susan in that what was Donald Trump gunning for with the pot thing? I don't agree with it. I think legalizing weed has gotten way out of hand. It went from legalizing it to condoning it, endorsing it, and having no restrictions on it, at least none that we see. You again, walk around New York City, man. You will see people smoking weed, and they're not supposed to be. You're not supposed to walk the streets. It's legal. All right. What does that mean? You can buy it at a dispensary, like a prescription. It needs to stay in your prescription bottle or container that it was put in. You need to have your prescription, your weed card on you all the time. You can't smoke it in public. You can't smoke it in a motor vehicle. And you can't put it in a different container if it's going to be on your person or in your car or anywhere. It's a lot like booze. You can't just buy a bottle of booze and start swigging it walking down the street, unless your name's Susan. You're from Corning. But truth be told, they just seem to say, well, it's legal and without any consequence. And it has been like an endorsement. And I think more younger people and just people on the whole are smoking now than would have if you had to go to a guy. I know a guy, I'll get you some weed, this, that. And how much revenue is it bringing in for the people? Because I don't think a lot of people are buying their weed from dispensaries. A lot of people you see walking down the street smoking anyway. They might be stealing it from dispensaries or getting it from where they got it before it was decriminalized and legalized. Because I don't think a lot of these thugs that I see smoking weed walking down the street are really, going through the time and effort to fill out the paperwork to get a weed card. I don't think that's happening. So how much are they making? I don't know. Maybe it is a lot. Is it worth it? Is that kind of revenue worth the problems it causes? And it's made it that using other drugs in public is just kind of endorsed because weed is. So now you see people shooting up horse. They're taking bennies, dexies, meth, goofballs. I see it. Yeah, it's just, it was like an endorsement. And the last thing you should be doing before you figure out the problem that just legalizing it or decriminalizing it caused is making even more lax laws, especially federally. I sound like a guy that I would have laughed at and pointed my finger at as a young man and gone, shut up, old man. We don't need to hear your kind, old man. And then I'd look back and go, you little whippersnapper, what do you know? But, you get a little more wisdom, I guess, as you get older. And I see weed causing a lot of problems. People that smoke a lot of pot are really stupid. They're really not smart people. It just does something to their mind. Or maybe it's the other way around. If you're not that smart, you might smoke more weed. I don't know. I just don't think it's a good thing. And that was weird of Trump. I don't see the upside. Is he trying to get younger voters? I don't know. I don't think that's the way to go. But, I don't know what the upside of that might have been, that he decided to do that. Yes, I wanted to talk about the mayor of Boston, Massachusetts. I did a stint up in Boston for a little while with the Opie and Anthony show, WAAF and WBCN, a few years back, a lot of years back, when I would have pointed at older me and said, shut up, man. But Boston has changed. We used to have Mumbles Menino up there. We're very happy to watch Boston. The Red Sox are doing very well this year in Boston. Mumbles Menino. His tongue was 3 times too big for his mouth. Mayor Menino. And now that you got this Mayor Wu, who, what? And she wanted to comment, of course, get involved, put herself into the discussion about Somalia and the Somali refugees and all that. So she got on the tube, and here's what she had to say.
You cannot talk about any achievement that the city of Boston has had in safety, jobs, and economic development, in education, without talking about the Somali community that has lifted our city up. We are proud and we are grateful for our Somali community and for our Somali American neighbors. Boston and the country are clear that hate has no place in our society. We will use every attack to actually strengthen and expand the services available, to empower and work alongside our community members who are already doing so much good in the world and setting an example for the rest of the country.
Can you even? The history of Boston, one of the most historic cities in the country. You'd be hard pressed to come up with another city that is so full of American history. And then the years it was a city before America was America. There was a Boston, and the history of that city and And she thinks Somalis had something to do with every step of that. The Freedom Trail. Was that what the ride of Paul Revere? The Somalis are coming. The Somalis are coming. It's astounding, again, that someone could say that and not think they sound like a blithering idiot. This woman is so liberal in the new way that people are liberal. You know, stupid. The stupid way. But, yeah, I couldn't imagine the Boston I lived in for a little while voting for that woman. Okay, we'll be back in moments. Your calls and some more to go on the show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show, and scrolling again during the break, and I see Zoran Mamdani's post up here. He is, and what a strange post to make when all this is going on. Oh wait, it might be an older post that someone posted. It's from November, but it's still relevant. This was after his election. He's the video is he's in a school, a little like daycare center, universal child care center, and he's coloring with little kids. And the post says, "Soon we'll oversee a budget of more than $100 billion. That right there should give you a little pump of adrenaline. Soon we will oversee a budget of more than $100 billion, and every dollar will reflect our commitment to working New Yorkers and delivering universal child care. Good thing some lil New Yorkers gave me a counting lesson today, and I guess they're doing drawing and some math and things like that." Zoran Mamdani, we see what's going on with the Somalis, and this is widespread. We just see the ground zero is Minneapolis, Minnesota, some other cities in Minnesota. But I think if you look in any large city, medium city that has a large Muslim population, you are going to see these scams and this level of fraud going on. They've already pointed out some instances in Ohio and a few other states. And before the story, Nick Shirley's story broke the other day, this is right after the election. And Mamdani is saying $100 billion, that's going to be the budget. And it's the commitment to working New Yorkers to deliver universal child care. Imagine you have a budget that big. You could start putting up these child care places and running them just like they're running them in Minneapolis. Just skeletons of a building. You throw a few Muslim women in there, lock the doors, put, New York Leering Center on the sign, a phone number that doesn't go anywhere, and you get federal funding for all that. He is going to be in charge of $100 billion. Where do you think that's going, people? Where the hell do you think that's going to go? Oh, my God. Frightening. The whole thing is frightening. And the other thing I wanted to get to was Trump, of course, made it part of his election platform, his when he was candidate Trump, that he wanted taxes on tips taken off. No taxes on tips. Waitresses, anyone that's tipped. They make their money. Employers aren't obligated to pay them what the minimum wage is. They could pay them way below the minimum wage because they depend on tips. And Trump said, yeah, why have them paying taxes on that? They don't even make minimum wage. Let them keep their tips at least. Which, that's fair. I'm sure there's arguments on both sides. I kind of liked Steve Buscemi's argument in Reservoir Dogs. I don't tip. I don't believe in it. But it's one of those things that Trump decided, there shouldn't be taxes on tips. So in his one big, beautiful bill, he exempted federal taxes on tipped wages and overtime pay. But hardworking residents will still have to pay state taxes on that income unless, of course, the state and local elected leaders step up and follow suit. A lot of states, or a few states had, I think it's only 8 states that went exactly like Trump's policy said, where it's like, yes, no tax on the tips, no tax on overtime, things like that. South Carolina is one of those states. Very proud. But a couple of states have decided they're not going to go along with it at all. None. They are not cutting any taxes on tips or overtime or anything. Can you guess? New York State, Illinois, and California. 3, 3 of your Democrat-run crap hole states. All their talk about caring about the working people. We care about you. And then Trump does something that really will benefit working people in the service industry. And he doesn't just talk about it. Within his first year, this was very quick, very quickly. This was signed, the big, beautiful bill. And he put that in place, and New York, California, and Illinois decided, nope, tax those bitches. That's pretty much what you're saying. Yeah, see that girl? She's working hard. The Diane girl from Jack and Diane, the song maybe. And, just tax her. We don't care. That's your caring governors and local Democrat politicians in these states. They don't care. They don't care about you. And for the people that just say, oh, Donald Trump was just trying to get voters. Yeah, great. And he followed through with it. So how is that a bad thing? Yeah, I want to get votes, so I'm going to tell this group of people that I'm going to do something really good for them. And it isn't welfare. It isn't some giveaway. It's just you get to keep more of your money because you're not making minimum wage and you depend on tips. But they'd rather have someone like Biden lie to them about forgiving student loans. Remember that one? And then he had a few forgiven. It's like, we're going to do this. You elect me. And Kamala kind of attached herself to that scam during her campaign. And then what happened? They weren't. Biden didn't start paying off people's student loans after he won the 2020 election. He talked about it. They talked about it a lot, but never happened. They lie. They don't care about anyone but themselves, their money, and their power. And, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong on that one, my friends. All right, let's go to, let's see, Joaquin. Oh, you got to hit that continue thing on the phone bank up there in Mission Control, the great state of New York, city of New York. There we go. Thank you. Joaquin, what's up?
Good evening, Anthony. Hey, I got a question for you. Who's the voice of reason, Susan from Corning or Teddy Ruxpin?
Teddy Ruxpin. Yeah, I hear you. Hey, she means well. So does Teddy Ruxpin.
His poll inspired me, even though I guess I don't need much inspiration. I think that this year we are going to be in serious trouble. I have some very bleak predictions for this year if things don't change immediately. And earlier, when you were talking about Pam Bondi, it hit me. the more this goes on with her, it's validating, like Letitia James, it's validating James Comey. And, if this whole January 6th thing is not completely investigated, it's going to validate the whole January 6th insurrection. It's going to validate the whole 2020 election. And every single thing that, that went wrong is going to be validated. And, when you look at that clip or from that interview of Susie Wiles, no retaliation after 90 days, who's advising Trump? He should have gotten rid of her right away.
Should have gotten rid of her.
This first year,
how do you,
as far as any of that goes. I'm sorry.
And how do you not have your ducks in order when you bust out a couple of huge indictments like they did with Letitia James and what's his name there?
And who do you fear more? Do you fear Vladimir Putin, or do you fear King Charles, the European Union, or the UN more than him? I mean, who's destroying Western civilization? Who's going out of their way at an astronomical pace to make sure that it's completely run underground?
Yeah, it's troubling. I get your point on that, especially we like thinking January 1st, New Year's. We like thinking of what the past year brought and what the new year might bring. And you're saying you're a little pessimistic about the new year.
That's kind of an understatement. Unless they change these things, we're going to be destroyed. Because here's a new one now that they're talking about, this Asta name. As far as Islam goes, that was allegedly Muhammad's decree that he would protect Christians and Jews.
Yeah.
If anybody really wants to accept this, they want to be conquered, okay? Because he's making that statement as a conqueror. And you remember the old thing that the boss is always right, number one, and number two, if the boss is wrong, go back to number one. Well,
right.
You might as well go back. When you look at that, you got to go back to the whole message in the Quran. And I can't help it. I'm so sorry, but it just, it infuriates me to think that none of these things are going to get taken care of. And, they deliberately took Matt Gaetz out because I think that he was the guy that was going to go in there and really, was going
right.
was going to open all the cans of worms and go after stuff.
Yeah,
so
they couldn't do anything. They can't close a deal. They can't follow through with anything. We hear allegations. We had a couple of indictments, and then it just falls apart immediately. It doesn't even get near being charged or seeing these people's mugshots like we saw Trump's. Nothing. We get nothing on this side.
Well, what do you think? You think it's either incompetence or do you think it's deliberate?
I think it's incompetence. I think it's absolute incompetence. Pam Bondi's got to go. Kash Patel has to go. They've proven they can't. A sports team, they get rid of the coach. He could have made it to the Super Bowl, and then if he loses the Super Bowl, they get rid of him and get a new coach. They can't win a single game, these two. So they need to go. They need to go, and some real pit bulls got to be put in there. Thank you.
And, I also think that this whole Ukraine-Russia thing, that's just been sold to us, and people are just blindly accepting it. And none of it makes any sense. And when you really look at the whole history, of 2014, Ukraine getting its independence, there's a history that goes back. A lot of those people in Ukraine consider themselves to be Russians. So these areas that are being contested, that's like a civil war that was opened up when they did that. And so now they want to sit there. European Union, they want us to go to war with Putin. So every time you turn around, they tell these stories about, drones went into Poland. I don't think those were Russian drones that went in there. They just keep wanting to poke us and to try and, drive us into this whole thing.
The one thing I've noticed about that war is we haven't gotten an ounce of truth out of it. We've been privy to a lot of videos and reports from a lot of other wars over the course of the years. And while some of them were blatant lies, we kind of knew what was going on when we watched the videos. All right, there's a guy yelling Allahu Akbar. He's got a RPG. He's firing it. There's his head just was separated from his body. You kind of know who the players were there. Now you don't know who's sending in the drones, who's sending missiles. Oh, that was a false flag operation. Russia bombed themselves to make Ukraine look bad. And this, we are getting zero facts out of that theater of operation. And it makes it impossible to support any side. So the only thing is, like, end it. Just figure out how to end this thing. And like I said earlier, Trump seems to be the only one that's ever stepped up to say, hey, get these guys together and let's see if we can put a stop to this thing. Everyone else just wanted to keep throwing fuel on the fire. All right. Thank you, Joaquin. I always leave a little time there for a retort. Whoa, well, allow me to retort. Yeah, none of that. Oh, yes, I already went through the principles of Kwanzaa. If you just tuned in, I already went through the principles of Kwanzaa. Mainstream media calls whistleblowers racists. Yeah, that's what you get. That's what you get for actually pointing out that there is an issue, a problem, corruption, fraud going on. So here are some headlines from the Associated Press. This is going back to October of this year, talking about the Somalis, refugees, these allegations of fraud. Where would America be without us? A community of refugees is stunned by the White House and what they're saying. Minnesota's largest Somali community was among immigrant groups that helped revitalize the Lake Street corridor. These places, obviously, in Minnesota, where I guess white people aren't allowed. Scorned by the president, Somalis in Minnesota are embraced by the state that took them in. So scorned by that. The state that took them in. So turning a blind eye to their corruption and fraud and crimes is embracing them. It really is an enabler. They are enabling their criminal child to do whatever they want to do. And anyone that says anything about it, the politicians in Minnesota, politicians in Washington, will come out and call you a racist. The wave of vitriol during the Trump administration's continued nationwide immigration crackdown has been met with an opposing wave of solidarity in Minnesota. State leaders have been quick to publicly embrace the community, and some of those emails flooding the inboxes of organizers were expressions of kindness. Thank you, Minnesota. Thank you for allowing us to steal, for allowing us to just set up fake child care centers and rob you to the tune of billions of dollars. They're still saying this. MS Now. This is the first time this is being heard by anybody because no one. Trump's targeting of Somali Americans is having an effect in Minneapolis. Businesses say foot traffic is down in certain neighborhoods, while some residents are carrying passports with them at all times. Well, good. They should. If you're a good, productive member of American society, make sure you have proof that you belong here. Because we're seeing too many shenanigans. Too many shenanigans. Trump's threats raise fears in Minnesota's Somali community. This is all they're talking about. Where is the corruption? Where are there conversations about all the thievery and fraud that we're seeing? What do Somalis in Minnesota and Governor Tim Walz have to do with fraud allegations? In Trump's latest tirade against the Somalis in the state, he flagged supposed instances of corruption and fraud involving Somalis living in Minnesota, particularly in relation to welfare programs. This from Time magazine. Isn't it obvious now? More recently, he claimed on Truth Social, Trump, Somali gangs are terrorizing the people of the great state and billions of dollars are missing. He announced he would end temporary protection status for Somalis effective immediately, causing alarm among Somali population. They are defending the criminals, the fraudsters, before they even know what's going on. Did CNN, Time Magazine, or anyone send investigative journalists like Nick? Did they do that? No. Nick Shirley, that's his name. Shirley? I have a friend Shirley that's bigger than you. But, yeah, so that's what they're doing. That's how they're taking care of this fraud, defending them to the hilt with lies and propaganda. Back in a minute. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Thank you for tuning in. And I certainly hope you had a great Christmas and you're going to have a wonderful new year. Be safe. You got to be safe, people. Don't drink too much. My God. This was a post I saw from Amy Meck. She's there on X. And it's interesting. It's this Minnesota legislative power pipeline that has been going on there for years, because people wonder how it gets like this. I've often spoken about the enclave, I say, of Somalis that have been strategically placed in one area, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and how powerful that is, getting that foothold. If you're a group of people from a certain culture, a certain country, religion, and you're all together in one spot, you're going to live in a bubble. You're going to continue with your customs, traditions, problems. And if you're sprinkled in the population, you have more chance of assimilating to the people in the new country that you're in. But this was done on purpose. A few years back, someone decided, hey, let's just dump a bunch of Somalis in one place. But then how do you go from that to running Minneapolis, to being able to commit such fraud without any eyeballs on you whatsoever? And it's pretty interesting. This is how it goes. Let's see where that is. Disdain. See if I can find it. Oh, look at me. Look at me, not prepared, because I was scrolling. Okay, here's the model for what they're doing. You enter the country through refugee or immigration pipelines. So that we've seen, especially during Democrat administrations and especially during the Biden 4 years. Unvetted immigration. But the Somalis have been coming in there for quite some time through these refugee programs. You build businesses and nonprofits dependent on public aid. So whatever you're doing, it's just, if it's a service business like a store or a restaurant, it only serves your Somali community. Somali food, Somali clothing, everything. You're not contributing at all to the country. It's not any service that could be enjoyed by anyone but your little bubble of people in your little area. So you do that, but you make it dependent on public aid. Now you're getting money from the government, taxpayer money. Now you embed into boards, agencies, and advisory councils. So you join the city council. You're on the advisory board for police maybe, agencies. Now you're the one responsible for doling out money to troubled kids organizations or child care centers, whatever that is. And then you run for office to control the money that is coming in to your state, city, from federal or state government. You control the funds, the rules, and the oversight. Minnesota didn't accidentally lose control of its daycare system. It was captured from the inside. When the same networks operate the programs, receive the money, and write the laws, accountability disappears. Audits are labeled racism. Investigations become Islamophobia. Fraud is framed as persecution. This isn't diversity. It's consolidation of power. Minnesota isn't being represented. It's being infiltrated and managed. And the American taxpayer is paying the price. That is great. That's Amy Meck, M-E-K, on X. I read that. And I'm like, God, yeah, that's the modus operandi. That is how they've gotten these seats of power. And you don't just accidentally stumble on this. And then when you get royalty, you get Somali royalty, like Ilhan Omar at the helm of your state, you can do whatever you want. She's not going to investigate anything. She's going to look away. When you have Tim Walz, this idiot, thank God he's not our vice president right now. You never would have heard of any of this. I hope something comes of it, but you wouldn't have even heard of any of this. And all the rest of the Democrats, the ones that are shielding these Somalis, something's got to be done. Something's got to be done. All right, people. Very good. Love yous. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great New Year. I appreciate all the work that everyone does up there in New York for me. It is wonderful. And everything. Best wishes, blessings. And like I said, be safe. Don't pound them until you can't drive. And if you can't drive, get yourself an Uber. Don't be stupid. All right? We'll see you next year.
Thanks for listening to The Anthony Cumia Show. You can hear The Anthony Cumia Show Sunday nights at 8. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.